Good day all, how are you? Now, little chat, I didn't actually go live last week because we did go live last week. I'm hoping that the chat will actually come up live for people that might watch this later on. How are you? Who's in? Let me get my readers on. So there are 5 people viewing at the moment. The sunny's on as well. 9 of you in. How are you all? Little chat today. We got a bit of an update. Lots going on. Howdy, howdy. Mr. Old Clunker's in. Byron, how are you, buddy? How is the US of A? Hello, Jan. JCC. Thank you, Tropic Lush. Bit of a sad day for me. I'll talk about it in a moment, but also a bit of an exciting week. We actually have got less than 48 hours before we set off on a big trip across Australia, and we're just to say we're not organised. To say we're not well, we are organised, but we decided to go fairly unencumbered with planning. So we're actually going to be doing about a 2-week tour across from the east coast to the west coast of Australia, and we're going to take you along as well. I'm going to actually do a lot of vlogging. I'm going to show you some of the beauties of outback Australia, try and pick up on some food. 27 people in. Hi, how are you all? Love to you all. Hit that thumbs up button for me just to sort of let me know you're in, or don't. How are you all? I got a lot to talk about, so you know, if it could be, this may not be the most cheerful live stream. So if you want to pull up a coffee and sit down and listen, have a chat. If you feel like you're not in the mood for something a little bit glummer, and not all glum. A very good friend of mine passed away, but quite some time ago, about a year ago. And I've only just found out about it, and it's tricky because I'll just get Michelle to share this out on Facebook. There's a few old friends of mine from many years back. Yeah, I'm sorry as well, because he was like a brother to me as when I was a younger guy. We were very, very close, and you know, back in the days, that's all right. Back in the days, we didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have the internet. There wasn't any Facebook really, so you know, you lose contact with people. And my good mate Stuart was not one for being on the internet. I've tried many times to get hold of him, but his family had told me he's not into the internet. Turns out actually that he had a fairly rough latter part of his life, and had I known about it, I could have reached out. So it's kind of reflective a little bit on just how short lives can be sometimes, and how important it is to live it to the fullest. Stuart was for quite some number of years almost like a brother to me, so we got a lot of memories with good friends. And this actually was in Germany. I've mentioned before about the fact that I lived in Germany as a child, and a good friend of mine from Germany actually wrote to me and told me that she had heard about Stuart, and she passed that on to me. So yeah, it was a sad day yesterday. I think I'm still trying to digest it properly. But I think one of the important things to draw from this is, well, firstly, Stuart ended up homeless, and you know I've travelled a lot around the world over the years, and had I known, I'm almost certain I would have dropped everything to go and see if I could help him. But you know, you can't always help everybody, but you certainly should be trying to help those that you love and care for. And I've seen a lot of homeless around the world, whether it's in developed countries like the US of A and Europe, whether it's in less developed countries like India, Southeast Asia, Mexico and the likes. And it does seem quite often that wherever there is such poverty, there's quite often great wealth as well. It's not unusual to see very expensive cars pulling up next to homeless people, so that the doors can be opened and they can go in and enjoy a good meal. And that actually, and that's why I say I don't want to be too melancholy, because I've only just found out about this, and it's just got me reflecting a little bit. And we're meant to be getting prepped, I think, less than 48 hours from now. We're driving the Jeep across Australia, so we're going to keep that upbeat. But I just want to sort of say, you know, we take things for granted, and life is not as long for everybody as it always should be. Not always as fruitful as well. But it does make me think that you do have to live your life to the best of your ability in the time that you're allotted. And you know, I've always believed that for many years. We try to do all the things and have no regrets, and it's not always easy. But it actually is. It's not always easy, but it's actually easier than sometimes you might think it would be to take those risks and do the things that you wish. Is there any comments coming in, Michelle, I need to address?
No, everyone's just sending you hugs and
thank you.
to Stuart's family and friends.
Yeah, well, Stuart had a lot of good friends, and to me, he was a very, very close friend for a number of years, but not of recent years. I haven't seen him probably for over 30 years, and no, is it over 30, Michelle? Yeah, I'd say it probably is. So I haven't seen him for a long time, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't dear to me at the time, and that I was constantly thinking of him. The sad thing is we lived in very different parts of the world. Anyway, so there you go. Just a little thought, and thank you for your good wishes. Did you share that out on Facebook, Michelle?
I did.
Got the coffee, got the cappuccino. These little lemon, changing the subject, it's a day or so old, but these are little lemon tarts my sister's little girl was making, and she sent some round for me to try, and they're beautiful, lovely and tart. I love, she's made a lovely short crust pastry. It's really crumbly, and although they're a day or two old, they still taste really good, really tart. Don't you love lemons? We've got a little lemon tree around the corner here, so we can get fresh lemons. How is everybody doing? All good? Like I say, we're actually, you know, I haven't really vlogged a lot since my trips through Southeast Asia, and since possibly when we were in Sicily. But I do intend to do a lot of food vlogging and talking around Australia. But forgive me if it doesn't come off. I'm determined that we will, and Michelle and I will try to get stuff up as regularly as possible, because I think it's going to be fantastic driving across from Melbourne all the way across to Perth, and we're going to be taking it fairly slowly, so I'll take you along. We're going to get some good film footage. What is everyone up to today? Everyone been good?
So Jan said a friend is going to visit Australia next December.
Yes, superb.
Summer.
What part? When? December?
December.
Be hot in December, depending on where they're going to, of course. Don't forget we're the other way up. So our height of our summer is December. Actually, it really gets quite hot in January. That's why we're setting off this month, because hopefully it'll start to cool down a little bit as we get into the drier, more arid parts of Australia. Keep away from those spiders and snakes and... tonight you're supposed to get 14 inches of snow. It's not too hot. Look at it. It's gorgeous. It's not too hot. It's about 28 degrees Celsius, probably about 82 Fahrenheit. It's not too hot. It's very nice.
Yeah, Byron said it snowed really hard last night.
Did it?
Oh dear.
I'm not coming that side of the world until the weather picks up, I tell you that. I don't mind the snow, but I don't want too much cold weather. Michelle and I like the warmth. So anyway, there it is. A little prayer to Stuart, and I wish I could have been there for him. A little prayer for his family, and love to everybody out there that knew him. We all knew what a great guy he was, what an absolutely genuinely kind-hearted and good guy he was, and tragic circumstances, unfortunately, that led to the end of his life. But hey, we can't always be aware of everybody that we know's circumstances. So it just saddens me a little bit. So we're going to be driving across the Nullarbor, which is actually French for no null arbor, which is basically no trees. So the Nullarbor. How long is the Nullarbor, Michelle?
3,500 k's.
3,500 kilometres, whatever that is in old money.
Well, that's from Melbourne to Perth, so Nullabor's in the middle.
So we'd be doing that drive. There's some fantastic things. I mean, we're going to be looking at some of the best of bush food. We're going to be looking at some of the best of coastal food, and then eventually we're going to end up in Perth, which is a city I've not been to before, and I believe it's an absolutely beautiful place to go. We're going to spend a month or two, maybe even 3 in Perth, so we'll be exploring the food delights there. I've been to, in this area where I am now, I've been exploring all the local vineyards and breweries. California, well, we will come back to California. I'm absolutely certain we will at some point. Do love parts of California I love, and parts of California I tolerate. You know what it's like. People from California know what I mean. Some of the best, some of the worst of the US of A. Yeah, I'm doing more Mexican food, Mike. We've got one more video I think I've got filmed, and we've got a whole batch still to film. But it might be when I get to the end of this trip. This trip's going to be 2 or 3 weeks, and we've got to get settled in a place. We've got a place organised to arrive in Perth, and we'll start doing some more filming there. But the Mexican stuff really excites me. I've really enjoyed, when we were in Mexico, we fell in love with more and more real traditional Mexican cuisine. So we'll certainly be sharing across with you some more Mexican dishes. There's a lot planned, but we've got a lot more planned as well. A lot of stuff. There's a Malay series that we have planned, Malay food. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and sometimes you do make mistakes with old buddies, but I think Stuart's family or some of his heritage, he came from Malaysia, so quite appropriate. Abram Aiken girl, Kelly. Yeah, is lush. These are peas behind us. Beans, sorry, not peas. It's beautiful weather at the moment. It's a good time of year. I love it when it's coming into the autumn. You see, I've got the reference across to Michelle just to make sure. That's how bad I am. So I'm going to have a little bite of this lemon tart, which is breaking apart here.
Jan said, loved your video on chocolate cherry cheesecake, was marvellous.
It was a lot of fun to make, Jan. It's one of those recipes I had no idea where we were going, and we filmed it in a different way. Now, I've had different feedback from people. Some people like the style, some people don't, but we're going to be experimenting, trying to up the game a little bit on the cooking show. So yeah, you might see some changes. Don't worry, if they please you, let me know. If they don't please you, let me know. It doesn't matter. But we're trying to change the format. I've been doing this now for about 4 years. Is it, Michelle?
Yeah, it's been.
So sometimes you just got to change up the format to keep yourself sort of your own spirits high and what have you. By the way, if anyone does watch this from Europe, who's friends of mine from way back in the day, loved you all. I remember so fondly a lot of my good friends from Germany, Europe. So you can always leave a comment down below and keep in touch. You can probably pick me up somewhere on Facebook, but YouTube's the place to sort of keep in touch if you want to, or if you have the chance. there any other?
No, nothing else come through.
Now, Leslie, Critter T, sweetheart, you said to me last week, did you miss the live show? So I'm doing this specially for you and not actually, well, you know, I'm also giving a shout out to an old friend of mine, but because I thought to myself, oh, if Leslie was waiting on Thursday and missed my live stream, I'd better do it this week. So love to you, Leslie. And love to everybody who supports me on Patreon, by the way.
Jan says, you can change anything, but Michelle's a keeper.
Is she? Is she? Come. I've changed her. She is a keeper, Jan. See, she read that out. I didn't ask her to read that out. Don't stop that with that flannel, Jan. She is a keeper. We've been together for more years than I can remember. Actually, we've been together for almost as long as I haven't seen my good buddy Stuart. Hi, Kimberly. Good evening. Coffee's good. Coffee's good. Weather's good. Now, I believe that the chat, and I don't know, it said on when I put this up, the chat would stay up on Everything Computer. G'day from Canada. Yep. Hi.
Hi from Canada.
G'day from Australia. So I believe this chat will stay up later. We'll see, because I'm just doing it on the phone today. Is the picture quite good on the phone? This phone has got a bit of a knock in it near where the camera is, and I wasn't sure if the quality was going to be very good, particularly on these sort of front-facing cameras. If I keep my my goggles on, then you can't tell that I'm not maybe looking straight into your eyes. It's good, clear. It's clear, is it? That's good, because I'm going to be using this actually as we tour around Australia as well. So if I find something really fun and we want to share it with you, I've got one of these mobile data things, and I'm not sure if it's going to work way in the outback, but we'll give it a try anyway. If it comes up and it's a little bit grainy, you can tell me, but it's grainy because we're way out in Whoop Whoop, as we call it here in Australia. So yeah, we will try to be sharing. I'm picking away. I'm going to have a bit more of this lemon tart.
Tomorrow we hope to go to the back to that brewery, don't we? Sorry, you're eating.
Oh, it's so tart. It's a tart, lemon tart. Thank you to my little niece, Annika, for making those. She's a sweetheart. So yes, we got a little bit of a visit to one of the other breweries, do a little bit extra filming tomorrow, and that'll be the last thing before we head off. We had hoped to get off midweek this week, but we've just got a little bit behind, haven't we?
Yeah, haven't packed yet.
We talked about taking like a caravan, a trailer tent, or whatever, and we've actually decided just to sort of take a small pop-up tent, like a swag tent, and work it out as we go along. So it's going to be pretty basic, but we'll get stuff as we need it. What's this comment here? Lemon tart.
So Kimberly says, all lemon tart. I made one for the first time this year, but it was a little more tart than I like, so I dusted powdered sugar on it. Very nice.
Yeah, well, that'll counteract it, Kimberly. Was it Kimberly?
Yeah.
A little bit of sugar will always counteract that tartness, but sometimes it's just finding the lemons. Some of the lemons, like the key limes, which are basically a style of lemon, are a little sweeter, a little less. They've still got that beautiful tartness, but they don't bite the back of your mouth so much. So sometimes you can play with the lemons. What are the name of the popular lemons in the US that you have there? Maya lemons. Maya lemons are really good when they're in season. They're one of the few lemons that you can almost sort of bite through. They're very tart, but they're not as acid as some. So yeah, it does depend. Don't always sprinkle the sugar on. You don't need it. You don't need the sugar, but you do need a little sweetness in the pie crust, and a sweetness in the pastry. But if you get the right lemons.
Yeah, Kimberly says Maya lemons, can't get them in Michigan easily.
Kimberly, my buddy in Michigan, yeah, you probably can't, although, you sure? Maybe in Whole Foods? It depends where you are. My buddy lives up in Holland, Michigan, so I thought I saw Maya's there in one of the stores. We spent about, not this Christmas, the Christmas before, wasn't it? We were in Michigan. So if you have any questions, by the way, throw them in. I suspect that some of my good friends from back in Europe won't be watching this at the moment, because I think it's way in the middle of the night. Is it? What time is it in? Anyone from Europe in?
Yes, it must be about 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning. No, they're not going to be. Oh, Seville oranges. Tara, how are you? I love Seville oranges. To be honest, they're a marmalade orange for us. We tend to make, but the marmalades we get here in Australia is not that great, to be honest. Even the very good ones are kind of not that good. They're over sweet because they don't use Seville oranges, and Sevilles are the best oranges you can use to make really good marmalade. So for sure, I love Sevilles. I've been down in Seville in Spain, Sevilla, or what is this? When we were down near Tarifa, we've driven through where they grow all the Seville oranges. I mean, they're a little bit like cooking apples, aren't they? You know, cooking apples. If you've had what is the famous cooking apple that I often banter on about? Bramleys. You know, you can't eat them. You can take them to your mouth and bite them through, but they'll bite you back, and all your insides, all your lips sort of get sucked in because they're dry. They're acid and bitter. But when you cook with them, there's no better apple. There is nothing on this planet, no apple pie better than one made with Bramley apples. And I would argue that to the nth degree, because the tartness of those apples just makes such good apple pies, and they cook so well and hold their structure. Well, Seville oranges are like that as well. They're really not great oranges for eating. They're really sour, but they make fantastic desserts and the best marmalade. I keep touching the screen because it keeps going off. Comments are coming up, and then they sort of they vanish. I'm in a teeny tiny country style town.
Kimberly and Charisma are talking about getting Maya lemons and where they can get them.
Ah, okay. A teeny tiny country town. He had a teeny tiny house and a teeny tiny mouse. No, that's a crooked house, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, Michigan. No, it's too north for lemon trees, I think. I don't think you can grow lemon trees up in Michigan. Well, no, I'm pretty certain you couldn't grow a lemon tree up in Michigan. You might get the tree to grow, but it wouldn't fruit. So yes, you have got that problem, but you probably have good quinces up in. Would they have quinces?
Possibly,
Do you have
yeah.
quinces in Michigan? That makes a lovely tart as well. We make quince tarts.
And all the plums and that.
And the tart plums, you get all the winter plums and things. So, you know, there's the horses for courses. There are things you can get in the cooler climates you can't get in the warmer climates. And then there are places like Australia where we can get everything. Not true. Don't get Seville oranges and don't get Bramley apples. That's a bummer. Yeah, lemon trees you could grow if you had a big greenhouse, but I don't think you would get any... well, if you live in the Amish communities, you live right by the Amish. Probably when I drove up from Philly, when I drove up from Philadelphia to Holland, Michigan, a couple of years back, I probably drove near you. Mm-hmm. Beautiful part of the world, by the way. So lucky. Did Tara say she was in 2 o'clock in the morning? Was it Tara that said 2 in the morning? Get to bed, Tara.
Yes.
It's late night stop up. I'm sorry to have done this late today. We had a busy morning. It was Tara, yeah. We had a busy morning and I would have liked to have started it sooner, and I just didn't quite have time. You're a night owl like me. I would do this in the middle of the night, but it'd be black, pitch black here, and the lighting wouldn't be good. But I generally am up late. Would you believe I don't? Well, would you believe I don't tend to be too early up in the mornings? Not an early riser.
So Kimberly does get lemons. Our lemon trees do flower, and we do get lemons from them, though they don't get as big as store-bought.
Okay. We often find lemon trees grow best in slightly more drier climates, you know, warmer, dry climates. But I'm sure there are varieties. So anyway, thank you for the thumbs up, by the way. If anyone else is in here that hasn't thumbed the video up, just find the button and thumb it up, because I know the numbers are going down a bit at the moment. Michelle, you want to share that back out on Facebook again? Mm-hmm. Come in and talk nonsense. Now, as I say, it is a bit of a sad occasion, but I don't want to, you know, we don't want to dwell on that stuff. These are personal sort of things. It's the way I'm feeling at the moment that I feel a little bit sad, but I'm also feeling like I always do at the beginning of a big trip where you're just about to step off the edge. You know, we refer to it as like stepping off the edge. Nothing planned. Don't know where we're going to be on Saturday night. Don't know where we're going to be on Sunday night. Don't know where we're going to be all next week, to be honest. We're just gonna be flying by the seat of our pants and turning up wherever we can. And hope we'll be able to share some of it with you. I always tend to think in life, you know, this is what I was saying about life is short, and you do need to sort of get on and just do the things. What is this thing here? Oh, I can make myself kind of cool. Oh no, stop that nonsense. I've got colour filters here. So yes, get on and do the things that you want to. I remember we were driving in New Zealand once, listening to a lady, a story of a 83-year-old, 82, was she 82, Michelle, I think, a lady who'd just gone to university in Auckland University. Very good story, by the way. If I haven't said this before, I might have done. And she became very popular with the students, and they said at the end, once she actually graduated, I think it took her about 4 years to get the degree that she was going for. And she became really, really popular with all the students. They loved her because she was like sort of mother, matriarchal figure. And she was good night, Jan. Was Jan saying good night? Or?
Yes.
So they said to her, you know, why did you decide to do a degree so late in life? And she basically said, well, you know, at the end of life you can have a lot of regrets. I didn't want to pass on without having done the things I wanted to do. So it was quite an inspiring story, because actually she got up and made a sort of speech at the presentation ceremony, and I think only a few years later she passed away. But you know, it's quite a poignant thing. No regrets. Don't have regrets. Do the things you want to do. And sometimes they feel impossible. You know, whether it's losing weight, building on relationships, they feel impossible. But take those little steps, you know, and you'll get there. I should start doing sort of self-improvement videos. Mind you, that would be a bit tricky, wouldn't it? Self-improvement videos while you're not improving yourself. It'd be like, I've always been afraid to do anything like a weight loss video, because you sort of don't want to do a weight loss video and sort of not lose any weight, because I'm not really that disciplined enough to sort of change the way I'm eating. I love my food too much. Anybody new in? 24 thumbs up. Keep hitting those thumbs up. You can hit them twice. You can't hit them twice. So, what have we got planned, Michelle? We've got some fantastic oyster eating to do. We got some fantastic bush tucker. We got hop picking, perhaps. I can't be 100% sure on that because that's something you know what hops are? Hops are like the flowers of the hop plant that grow. They tend to grow up vines on a tight, and you pick the hops off, and they go into they're used for brewing. What's that?
Charisma Charles says bush caca. Bush tucker.
Bush tucker.
Tucker. Food.
Tucker in Australian is food. Can you know that? So yeah, there's some fantastic stuff. Have you seen the finger limes? I'm hoping I can find someone that's growing the finger limes. We can make something, maybe a finger lime tart. That would be nice. We've also got like a whole variety of sort of berries, and we've got the wattle seeds. Wattle seeds are fascinating. There are about 1,000 varieties of wattle in Australia, and many of the seed varieties are edibles. So we might be experimenting with them. I've got a recipe for a wattle seed cheesecake, which I'd like to give a try. I've got some beautiful beers as well from some of the some of the breweries here. I've got an idea for like a sticky date pudding made with a sort of dark ale. So if you're not an alcohol drinker, doesn't matter. You'll still love it because we'll burn the alcohol off. I'll teach you how to do that. Maybe I'll just drink the porter. I've got a porter from a little brewery around here called Hickenbotham Hicks Brewery, and it's described as a rich double chocolatey porter. I'm thinking, what can I don't want to waste it, you know. I want to have a taste of it, but I want to cook something with it. Yeah, well, hops is actually, I think, loosely connected with the marijuana plant as well, to be honest. So it has similar, no, it doesn't have similar characteristics, but I think they're loosely connected. And the hops, the actual hop they use is actually a flower inside. It's got what is similar to a pollen, an oil substance, which gives they use it to bitter ales, to make the bitter flavour for ales. And one of the local vineyards here is actually got their hop harvest on very shortly, and we might sort of swing by and see if we can't get a bag of hops and maybe use it for cooking. That's the plan anyway. Anyone got any good hop recipes? I'm thinking like a sort of hop, maybe a sauce or some sort of dressing that we could use. I saw on the internet some lady had made some hop macaroons or macarons, and she used actually lemons and oranges in there. It sounded really nice. So you got the bittering of the hops, and then you pick it up with those sort of tartness of the lemons and oranges. A little bit of sugar in there, obviously, sweeten it through. So that sounds quite interesting. Did you come and say hello, Michelle?
No.
Come and say hello. I'm sure Byron will be there. Byron, you there?
What's this for?
This, I always do this. When anyone walks towards me, I do this. I don't know why. I think it's my parachuting background. I haven't got a parachuting background, by the way.
Never been on a parachute. Hello, everyone.
I have been on a parachute. That's why I do this all the time. Oh, right. I met the guy at one of the breweries the other day, and as he came up to me, I'm going like this, and I think he thought I was going to hug him. So it's kind of like, I think Michelle thought I was going to hug him. I hug everybody. Hey Matt, how are you?
Stuck at work.
Yeah, watch later, mate. That's all good. I'll tell you what, Matt, if you watch later, tell me if the well, no, you don't need to tell me, but I'd like to know if the comments come up on the screen later on. This is what YouTube have been saying. I mean, I think YouTube live broadcasting has got a little bit behind. We have to do so many things. Is that a monkey? Monkey? What?
Me.
No, that was Michelle. This is an orangutan. I can hear
the child in the background.
I can hear a little monkey in the background. There's a little kid next door. I can hear probably what you can hear. That's okay. Say what you like. It's all good. And you got pastry left. So what was I going to say? We'll try and do a live stream from somewhere in Australia next week on a Thursday. Not sure where we'll be. Probably somewhere really quite fascinating, I would think.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the outback somewhere. So we'll try and make next week's live stream something kind of cool if we can. And probably a little will depend on what sort of internet connection. I'll probably do it a little bit earlier. Because
probably do it before we set off driving anyway.
Yeah, the reason being is when you're travelling, it's about the only time when I do wake up quite a bit earlier because, you know, you tend to get up with the sun and down with the sun. So I'll probably do it a little bit earlier. But I'm going to try and make sure we're somewhere really pretty to complement this. More people are coming in. The first thing they're going to hear is my boasting. Good day, everybody. How are you? New people, say hello. I've also got some sausage rolls that my mother made. They look almost too perfect. They look like shop bought, but she did make them. They're good. They're good. Taught me all she knew. Took her half an hour. Hopefully she doesn't watch this. You having a sausage roll, Michelle? Don't have that one. That's mine.
God, dear.
Gosh, she's pinching the best sausage roll.
Just the first one I could get.
There's that monkey again. So, what else is news? What have we done this week? Mainly been filming outside, getting things done, also prepping some stuff for our Mexican series. We've got to find a way of doing nixtamalized corn. I know how to do it. I've done it many times, but when we're actually out on the... We're not in any fixed address at the moment, so we have to find whether we can get the equipment to actually do it, and that'll be tricky. The other thing when you travel is just trying to make sure you get at least... I only have a couple of cups of coffee a day at the most, but it's making sure you can find somewhere to get a decent coffee. So we tend to take our little stovetop mocha pot with us from Sicily, and we'll probably be doing it bush style. Good day, everybody. Some new faces in. And what else? We're going to be in Perth in a few weeks' time, which is Western Australia. For those of you who don't know, we're here on this side. Okay, come over here. We're this side of Australia, and Perth is this side of Australia, and it's like days of driving. They're really like
big town on that side, isn't
yeah, they're the only major town really on Western Australia, but there's a lot of nice pretty towns on the coast, but I've never been there before, so we're literally crossing the whole of the country, which is quite some drive, but when we get over there I'm fascinated to see how the flora and fauna of that part of Australia changes, because I've been told that there will be some notable differences. We lived up in Queensland for quite a number of years, and that was a lot different from Melbourne. Queensland is, so if your Melbourne is down here, Queensland is way up here. And we will be going back to Queensland as well, probably end of this year. So that'll be interesting. We'll be taking you along. So any requests for Aussie dishes that you'd like to find out about? Maybe kangaroo. We'd probably find ourselves a bit of kangaroo, do some fun stuff. I've got a couple of fusion style recipes that I've been working on. Now, Little shout out at the end of this to 3 old friends of mine from many years back. Martina, Lee and Tracy, who have recently contacted me through Facebook. I don't suppose they'll be watching this. I can't imagine they will, but if they are, big hugs to you guys over there, and sorry we haven't been able to see you in the last umpteen years, but hopefully we'll catch up at some point. We'll be back in Europe maybe in about a couple of years' time, so for sure. Hi Dimitros, or is Dimitrios. Just sorry, it flicked up and went. Hello. So yes, we will be back in Europe. We will be back in Southeast Asia. We will be back in America, maybe even South America. Lots planned. But for this year, for the next probably 12 months, you're going to be seeing a lot more of Australia. Probably a fair old bit of the yellow Jeep. I wouldn't be surprised. So any questions about our trip? Anyone want to ask anything that they'd like me to? And by the way, if you're watching this live later on, you can ask questions and I'll try and answer them there. But it's nice if I can get the questions answered here in the show. Any cooking questions? Any questions, Michelle, from... Did we get anything on the... Mind you, if they're not in, to answer them.
No.
You see, I try to keep up with answering all the questions on the social media, but I've been getting a little bit behind on that because of the sheer volume.
So Ray Max Kitchen and Grill says hello.
Hey Ray Mac, how are you?
And King Bino 22 says hello, mate.
King Bino, g'day mate. So yeah, I try to keep on top of those questions, but you know, if I leave it for over a day, it ends up becoming a little bit unmanageable, and I have to spend sort of 2 or 3 hours trying to go through them. So forgive me if I'm not answering the questions as frequently as I used to, but I still read 100% everything that's sent to me. I just don't always get the opportunity to reply to them now. It's just finding the time. But I still probably spend at least an hour or hour and a half to 2 hours a day replying to you. So if you've any questions in here, just throw them across and I can get them answered before we roll on. I'm sort of dribbling for this sausage roll. Oh, that's nice. A little bit of Tommy ketchup. Well, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they understand. But, you know, I do like to answer people. That's the thing. It's part of what I've always done. It just becomes harder and harder as the numbers get higher, which is a good thing, obviously. I mean, it's great that there are thousands of comments coming through, but there was a time I used to answer, or, well, not that long ago, I used to answer 99% of them, and then I found I wasn't getting anything done.
So Ray Max Kitchen and Grill says, what do you guys do for fun when you're not cooking?
When we're not cooking, traveling really, Ray Max, we travel. You know, we love to just travel and meet people and chat with people. So when I'm not cooking, I'm traveling, or if I'm personally myself, I like to play guitar and I like to play ukulele, but mainly guitar of late. I've kind of slacked up a bit on the ukulele. So yeah, music, listen to music, play music, and travel.
So King Bino 22 says the chocolate chip cookies vid was really helpful, mate. Haha, keep it up. And Charisma Charles says, Steve, I make your chocolate molten lava cake in a mug, but it's never molten.
You're probably overcooking it.
Because it carries on cooking, doesn't it?
Look, when that chocolate molten lava cake that I made in the mug was a double serving, so it was a big mug. And the idea is when you put the water on the top, the water helps keep the chocolate solid. It drops down into the chocolate and it keeps it from overcooking or oversetting. But you do have to be careful you don't overcook it. There's you know, different size mugs you'd have to experiment with. I can't remember the exact recipe. I'm sorry, I've done so many, but I can't remember the exact cooking times. But if you're overcooking it, just the other thing is, you know, try a wider mug. Sometimes the very narrow mugs cook too quickly through the core, and then you end up with just like a sponge center. got these glasses, these Ray-Bans, quite some time ago, but I always find because my head's so big, it clamp me on the side. Does anyone else get that? Where it kind of like hurts the side of your head?
Charisma said, I know it by heart, I'm obsessed. That's with the molten lava cake.
I thought maybe having your head clamped by Ray-Bans. I've always, way back in the early days when I was a young lad, I had a friend of mine who'd gone to the US of A and came back with some Ray-Bans for me. He said, do you want a pair of sunglasses from the US? And so I picked a pair, and he bought me some Wayfarers back. With the old brown packaging. I still got them. And so he bought them back for me. I think they cost quite a lot of money at the time. And I sort of became a big fan of Ray-Bans, so I bought them most of my life. But I do think they design them for slightly narrower heads than mine, because they always tend to sort of end up pinching a little bit. And I know you could take them into an optician and they'd sort of heat them and stretch them out a little bit, but I find these ones are quite new, and I find they tend to sort of clamp, particularly when I do this, which I put some readers underneath so I can read your comments. I can kind of read them on the screen, but they're a little bit blurry. Gives me eyes a going. Good time to bite. A little bit of a pause. Any questions there, Michelle? Fill up some silent airtime.
No. Kimberly was just saying everyone understands it can get overwhelming with the comments and not to worry about it. I'm just glad that you're concerned.
Well, I'm concerned when I think I might have missed something important. But if you could see my comment list, it gets quite dense. And the problem YouTuber has always had, if people ask a comment on another comment rather than just in a comment, so if you do a fresh comment at the bottom of a video, that tends to get notified to me. But if you reply to someone else's comment, it doesn't always come through. So I sometimes find people that have commented like 6 months before saying, I've had this on for 15 minutes, how long will it take? And you think, oh well, that's a little bit late. Right, I am going to start to wrap this up. Do you think, Michelle?
Yeah.
Unless you want me to stay on, unless you've got some questions you want me to deal with. Little last thought about old friends and general life in general. Try to keep in touch with people, but don't beat yourself up if you can't. We've all got things to do, and help people wherever you can. And don't forget, a lot of people that actually end up being homeless were always somebody's little boy, little girl, and we should never treat them with disrespect. It's a hard life sometimes, and they do say, I can vouch for my good friend that there's no reason why he should have ended up the way he did on the streets, but things happen, you can't always be certain, and some of the nicest people that you'll ever meet can fall on hard times. So be good and be respectful, and take care of yourselves. One last plead for thumbs up. Do you know what? That's silly, really. It's a little bit of fun. It's a bit like sort of, playing a game or something, but you're good, Kimberly, no worries. And I know there'll be one or two people that can't watch this live, so those of you that are watching it now who couldn't watch it live, say hello, hit the thumbs up button, and let me know that you watched. Just pop in and say, and if you've got any questions, happy to answer them. And one last little play with this thing before I go, to see what else it does. Could you imagine doing a whole vlog like this, a whole live show? would be quite irritating, wouldn't it? Or like this.
Josh Law said hello.
Hello, Josh. I couldn't see your hello because I'm playing with the silly things. All right, be good. Love to you all, and I will see you. We'll try and get a video up this weekend if we can, but if not, I will see you very shortly. Take care.